Hello and welcome back everybody to the Foodbuild factory, where today we're going to take a look at Adam's Righteous. That's the guy you can see on screen right now. And as always, I'm going to show you some gameplay in the first half of the video, and in the second half of the video we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, equipment and everything else. So without further ado, let's get right into the video. So what this character is going to be about, as you can probably tell already by the fact that we are carrying a Radium Rifle, we are going to take a look at a relatively recent change in the game, which is that Radium Rifles have regained the ability to drop with the explosive effect. So as you probably know already, for the longest time these were classified as energy weapons when it came to the fact that you could not get a Radium Rifle with the explosive effect, similar to explosive laser rifles and everything. And Bethesda has kind of decided to redo that change for good, in my opinion. Like I never really understood why these Radium Rifles have not been able to drop with explosive, because it's not comparable to the extreme damage output that you get from let's say an explosive laser rifle or Gatling plasma. So it doesn't feel overpowered compared to other weapons with the explosive effect, and therefore I think it's a good change. You can now do that. And with that being said, I finally decided to do a build that I was trying to do for a whole lot of time. But yeah, the only explosive radium rifle that I had back before they could drop again was a bloodied explosive one, and it didn't really work for the kind of build I envisioned here. And yeah, it was kind of hard to get a full health version, to be more precise, a two-shot explosive one, which I desperately wanted to have for this particular build. Talking about the build, what I wanted to do here is make a run-and-gun commando character. So no stealth, just a little bit of vats. We are using vats pretty much all of the time, but we have very little investments when it comes to crits. Using vats here is simply kind of a thing in order to get us to do consistent headshots, because especially with the two-shot explosive effect, or the two-shot one, the explosive effect doesn't really matter here. With the two-shot effect on the weapon, the recoil is pretty crazy, so using it outside of vats is kind of not the most pleasant experience, let's put it that way. And furthermore, what I wanted to do is basically make this character centered around the ghoulish perk, so we can heal ourselves when gaining radiation. And when it comes to that, there's not a whole lot of ways in the game that get you the ability to do radiation damage to yourself. So for the most part, ghoulish is a pretty situational legendary perk, but once you can gain radiation by yourself, that's a great thing. And would you believe, like with an explosive radium rifle, you can consistently deal radiation damage to yourself. Now this is probably a good moment here to show that off. As you can see, we have some damage taken, and we can just easily heal ourselves with some passive radiation. Now this also means if we get up close and personal in a brawl with enemies, we do get passive healing, and in addition to that, we don't really need stimpaks, because all we need is just some glowing meat steak, or pretty much everything that does irradiate you. Also, toxic goo from Westtech is a very nice healing item for this build. But as I do have the carnivore mutation, therefore get pretty good healing from glowing meat steak anyways, and get the additional healing from the radiation I do take from it, this is a pretty good combination I found, and very easy. Now obviously toxic goo is even easier to get, because you can just take up as much as you can carry. But yeah, I'm pretty sure you're not lacking like ideas of what we could carry in order to heal ourselves. Now, in addition to that, there are some pretty fitting throwables in this game that you can use in order to really go with the vibe of the character. And as you can imagine, we do have Demo Expert, so yeah, we do get a good benefit from these grenades. Talking about Nuka grenades and Nuka mines. that's pretty much something we use in order to deal with tougher targets. Like if the Scorch Beast would have decided to land, we would have used a nuke mine, and the problem with this build is it's kind of like, yeah, it's lacking a little bit in DPS when it comes to really tough targets. But as I said, you are very well equipped in order to just use nuke grenades and nuka mines here. We don't have grenadiers, so you don't have the crazy explosive range of the explosives that you can throw. But in my opinion, it didn't really matter too much, especially with the nuke mines, which you can just survive by throwing in front of you. They even heal you for more than they take away from you, as you can see here. So yeah, overall that's pretty great, and I just dig the aesthetic of the Radium Rifle. I know some people find it to be actually pretty ugly, but I really love it. Aesthetically, it's one of my favorite weapons ever when it comes to Fallout, which isn't too much of a surprise for viewers here, because as you probably know, I also really dig the Gamma Gun, which also would have been a nice choice for this build, but obviously we would be like a either a gunslinger or more precisely a guerrilla nowadays, especially since, yeah, they have changed it a little bit as to where nowadays the automatic modification for the Gamma Gun does use guerrilla perks rather than guerrilla perks rather than the gunslinger perks it used to, so that has been changed. But yeah, that's a lot of talk for pretty much nothing, as we are not going to look at the Gamma Gun, obviously. So typically there's, here's the Assaultron. That was kind of stupid. I really hope the Assaultron doesn't overwhelm us here too easily, but yeah, managed to do it relatively easily. Just take a glowing meat steak in addition to a nuka grenade. Okay, the nuka grenade does more damage than it actually heals off. So yeah, just heal ourselves with glowing meat steak. No disease risk, obviously, since we do have carnivore. And yeah, overall I think you get the point of the build. It's just a fun, very themed character. Like, it doesn't do anything that you couldn't achieve otherwise. Like, in all fairness, just use a vampire's explosive version of the weapon and you probably are tankier than you are with this setup here. But overall I really liked it, and one interesting thing I found out is no matter how high your radiation resistance is, it seems like the 15 radiation damage you do get from this here Radium Rifle is always applied fully, which was a really interesting observation for me. I didn't expect that. With the two-shot explosive effect, it should also have more radiation. As you can see there, we're not getting 15 radiation, but we're getting 30. And in addition to that, the explosive effect does not carry radiation damage. So yeah, the two-shot effect makes it so you get 30 radiation rather than 15. And as you can see here, one thing I wanted to point out is that, yeah, whenever it comes to weapons that deal radiation damage in this game, the moment you look online, you will find people talking about how, yeah, you can use them because, yeah, enemies that do heal with radiation, mainly talking about ghouls, you can't kill them because they are healed, which, yeah, I mean, yes, they are healed by the radiation part, but you're easily outdoing the healing they get from the radiation part by just damaging them. So it's absolutely not true that you can't kill them. And ghouls being generally pretty squishy enemies, it's not that big of a deal. Where you could notice it is if you fight something like a glowing ghoul outside of that, because if you want to kill them, you definitely want to try to actually hit them and not just do everything with splash damage. But I mean, that's always a good idea, just in order to not waste ammo, to be honest. So yeah, if you're just shooting beyond the feet of a glowing ghoul, it might be happening that you're healing him more than you're damaging him, but at that point it's really your fault, to be honest. And yeah, okay, I for a second was worried that I had not Nuka grenades, but Nuka mines equipped, but that's not the case. And as you can see here, they are very effective in clearing rooms. I don't have the perk that gives me the targeting reticle. I actually find that when using grenades, oftentimes I prefer to not have that on. So, but yeah, that's personal preference, I guess. Being able to throw grenades further is definitely nice, but that's something I would consider on a character that's actually designed to run around with grenades all the time. This one here just uses grenades and mines more as a passive ability, just to support ourselves. But it's very fitting in terms of fitting radiation type things. I also do have radioactive isotope as a mutation, so every now and then when you get attacked by a melee attacker, which by the way doesn't do a whole lot because you do have blocker on, yeah, you can explode into this little mushroom cloud. I'm not quite sure if we're going to see this in this video, but it's definitely nice and really fitting. And the main thing I was excited to do here is, yeah, whenever the Demolisher outfit came out, I was really hyped because this, for some reason, does not look like a Raider outfit to me, but really screamed Children of Adam. Like, for some reason, with the radiator on the chest, this really looks like a Children of Adam outfit rather than a Raider outfit, which was really hype for me, to be honest. And yeah, in terms of the face, I just put on some green and yellow face paint and some blemishes and such. So yeah, overall, it's a little sad. You can play a ghoul, obviously, or a really irradiated character, but overall, it was a lot of fun. Here we have something like a little bit of a tougher target with a Deathclaw, but just a level 61, so this was obviously not too much of a problem for us. And maybe switch back to grenades. We can open the fight here a little bit with grenades. Now, you really should get a feeling after a time how far you can throw, even without the reticle. And here you can see, even without Grenadier, we have easily taken out one super mutant and barely taken out the other one, so it was just one or two more shots. Whenever you use a grenade, you can time it a little bit, which is always fun to me. I mean, it's never something I really found too useful, it's just a fun thing you can do. And yeah, really not a lot to say here. Now, probably the most interesting thing about this build is, as I said, we basically have no investment in vats criticals, despite having relatively high luck. Just to mix things up a little, because this is an aspect I often overlook, in my opinion, which is that even if you are not planning to invest into criticals, just having 1 point of concentrated fire can add very much to your character. It can be a big benefit in a lot of situations, depending on the weapon, of course. If you're running like a heavy gunner or something, it's probably not the best idea in the world, but whenever you run something like a commando character, yeah, the sheer fact that you get consistent headshots is worth so much. Like, obviously, if you are a person that can hit heads reliably outside of that, then sure, go for it, but I certainly can't. Like, I do get some headshots in here and there, but that definitely helps me a lot here. And yeah, as you saw there, we're not invincible, we're not super tanky, but overall it's a very nice character because you can really invest into a theme, which is always something I like especially. And yeah, not a whole lot else to say about the character in my opinion. I think you saw the gameplay and yeah, it pretty much speaks for itself. I really dig the aesthetic here. The Raider Demolisher outfit really is nice. And with that being said, I think it's about time that we're going to take a look at the perks, mutations, and everything else. So getting right into it, starting off with our mutations here. By the way, we do get a little bit of extra melee damage from Glowing Meat Steak, which is something I haven't really talked about, but it's obviously useless to us since we are using a ranged weapon. And yeah, other than that, Adrenal Reaction, pretty nice to have, obviously, since we're always irradiated a little bit, and yeah, but after all, we try to keep our radiation levels low, so we are healing off a ton of radiation all of the time. So we're not going to get to use Adrenal Reaction a whole lot of the time, but with Class Freak on, minus 12 HP is such a minor downside that it obviously can't hurt, and we certainly find ourselves with low health every now and then. So it's just a lot of extra damage in a lot of situations that barely has any downside, so that's why it's here. Carnivore, as I said, it's basically just here because I found Glowing Meat Steak is such an easy consumable item to really keep in stock all of the time, and with Carnivore combined with Ghoulish, it's actually a pretty good healing item in my opinion. And yeah, also as a side effect, you're pretty much always fully fed, which gives you extra HP more than you lose from adrenal reaction, so that's something, right? Then we're going over to Egghead, which is quite simply just there because we don't really need strength, and minus 1 endurance is also not the end of the world here. We do have plenty of endurance, and yeah, 6 extra intelligence just helps a little bit with getting experience, but you can obviously leave that out here. Electrically charged, this is pretty much just because I already had unstable isotope, which I talked about a little bit, which was really fitting, and electrically charged just was another instance of some interesting visuals going on every now and then. Then we're going over Grounded. This was one I was really not too sure about, for the simple reason that I wasn't sure if it was a debuff to our Radium Rifle, but luckily it is not, like it shouldn't, in my opinion, because if you're crafting a Radium Rifle, it is not an energy weapon. It is considered a machine gun and therefore a ballistic weapon, but you know, things can be gimmicky sometimes, so I wasn't too sure, but rest assured, yeah, you can use Grounded without having any debuff to your Radium Rifle, and 100 extra energy resistance is nice to have. Now you will see relatively soon that we are way above the limit of diminishing returns when it comes to our resistances, but still, more is never a bad idea. In my opinion. I'm going to talk about it in a few seconds. Then we do have Marsupial and Speed Demon. Those are pretty obvious. Faster reload speed, better jump heights. That's all pretty standard stuff. I don't really want to talk about that a whole lot. It's just nice to have in my opinion. And lastly, Scaly Skin. Pretty much everything I said about Grounded is also applying here. Extra resistances are nice to have, and minus 12 AP really isn't the world. Yeah, that's it. When it comes to our specials, I'm not always showing them, but yeah, we do have 7 strength, 17 perception, 19 endurance, 3 charisma, 17 intelligence, so we're a pretty intelligent dude. Agility and luck are at 16 and 15, so pretty well rounded in my opinion. Going over to our equipment, here we can see our new mines, 400 ballistic damage and 125 radiation damage. Obviously, the ballistic damage is the more interesting stuff for us, and same for the grenades, so only difference here is the range. But I do prefer nuke mines in a lot of situations, since we can survive them relatively easily. It's often the better decision, in my opinion, to just use them. It's easier to hit stuff, in my opinion. And when it comes to our weapon, here it is, a 2-shot explosive, less VATS cost Radium Rifle. Since we have a less VATS cost version already, I thought it was a good idea to invest into a whole lot of modifications that further reduce our AP consumption, and I think you saw that. Without a crazy AP refresh and without Grim Reaper Sprint, we basically never ran out of VATS usage, so sorry, AP to use in VATS, so yeah, that was a nice thing to have in my opinion. We do have a Prime automatic receiver here. This was basically just a decision I made because crafting Prime 45 ammo was the easier way for me. However, fear not, because yeah, it's only 1 ballistic damage difference in my, from all I can remember compared to the powerful automatic receiver. So if you don't have flux in order to craft Prime ammo, you won't notice a whole lot of a difference unless you're fighting Scorch Beast. And yeah, other than that, aligned long barrel, aligned stock. I would have preferred the precise stock here just so the weapon doesn't break too fast, but it's not too big of a problem anyways, and I strapped like 500 Radium Rifles and didn't get that modification. Piercing magazine, a little bit more armor penetration, reflex sight, less VATS cost, and compensator. Probably not the best decision to use the compensator here. I think it increases the AP cost a little bit, but yeah, was just a visual decision here, to be honest. And yeah, other than that, in terms of armor, I have a relatively interesting thing here, which is for the first time I have a full set of Botsmith armor, which I wanted to make a video with for a long time. I'm basically planning to do a video where I not wear any outfit above it, so we're going to talk a little bit more about it in the future, but for now, yeah, that's what I'm wearing under, and from all I can tell, the Botsmith armor is just pretty decent armor without anything super special going on. The resistances are great, and from what I can tell, the durability is really good. So that's basically my main selling point for the armor, in my opinion. We do have the demolition outfit over, but yeah, talking about the effects, I do have random stuff here. The only thing I wanted is a full set of slowly regen radiation damage while not in combat, just to further, since we do have a character that really relies on irradiating itself all of the time, but not being a dedicated low health build, I wanted to get rid of radiation as much as possible by using max rank of what reds, and in addition to that, I thought that, yeah, regenerating radiation outside of combat was a nice thing here. Ultimately, it doesn't do a whole lot here, but yeah, it was just fitting. So you can go with whatever you like. Obviously, something like Vanguards, Mutants, Aristocrats, whatever, would have been a nice decision here just to further increase our resistances. But as you can see down there, we do have 508 damage and 473 energy resistance. We do have a little bit of frost resistance just from a legendary effect there, and we do have a ton of radiation resistance, which, as I said, did not affect our overall radiation from shooting ourselves with the explosive Radium Rifle. But yeah, altogether, really nice resistances. So basically, whenever you reach 300 to 350 damage or energy resistance, it's about time to stop increasing it if you're really looking for efficiency, just because at that point you're getting less and less damage reduction from increasing your reduction. But I still find that if you don't have anything else you necessarily want to do, it's not like it's wasted if you increase it further. So yeah, it's a pretty big point of debate, but yeah, that's just my stance on it. And when it comes to under armor, obviously we had shielded Secret Service under armor on just to increase our strength, perception, and endurance here. Perception is nice for a little bit more hit chance, but mostly endurance was a nice pick for extra tankiness here. Not the world, so this is definitely one of those situations where it doesn't really matter whatever you use. You pretty much get use out of every single under armor you have, so go for whatever you like. And yeah, with that being said, I think it's time to move over to our perks. We're going over it relatively quickly. I do have a bunch of defensive perks here, starting off with Blocker. Pretty good option whenever you have the points for it. Other than that, we do have nothing in strength going on. Perception is obviously maxed out since we are a commando character. We do have Ground Pounder and Tank Killer maxed out for armor penetration and faster reload speed. Then, in addition to that, we do have Commando nearly maxed out. We're just missing 1 point in Master Commando for all of that for extra damage. And the 1 point we're not investing in Master Commando is for Concentrated Fire, just so we have the ability to target individual weak spots on enemies. Then we do have Endurance at 15, which is a rather rare occurrence, but for a tanky character like this was intended to be, the combination of high endurance and high resistances definitely was a nice thing. And yeah, I went for Ironclad, Ghoulish, Adamantium Skeleton, Fireproof, and Radical. So first of all, Ghoulish was a pretty straightforward pick. Obviously, the whole build is centered around this perk. I talked a lot about it. Basically, what it does, it heals a little bit of your health when you are irradiated. In addition to that, Fireproof was also pretty obvious because if we intend to heal ourselves with the radiation damage from the explosion from our weapon, obviously reducing the damage we take from the explosion itself as far as possible is a good pick. And yeah, then we go over to Adamantium Skeleton, also pretty nice thing. Since we try to avoid using Stimpaks in this build, it would be a shame if we could heal our health all of the time with stuff like Glowing Meat Steak or Toxic Goo, but then had to use Stimpaks in order to heal crippled limbs all of the time. Ironclad, yeah, give or take, you could find something better. Probably Life Giver would be the better choice here, since we are already in diminishing returns. But as I said, I really wanted to stack the resistances up yet a little bit higher here on this occasion. And lastly, we do have Radical, a bit of a wasted point in my opinion, just because we rarely find ourselves with very high rats, so we get a little bit of extra strength. But it's just one perk point, so I felt like, yeah, it was thematically rather fitting to have it here. And other than that, there was really nothing that desperately was needed. Something like Aqua Boy would have been thematically fitting as well, but there's no pool of water in this game really where you're not out healing the radiation itself, anyways, from what rats and the armor. Then we do have Tenderizer because of course we do. On this occasion though, it's yet a little bit more effective than on a lot of other commandos, just because we do have two projectiles, meaning that we're not getting 10% extra damage, but 20% if we're hitting in vats, so that's nice here. In intelligence, pretty straightforward. We do have Demo Expert to increase the damage from our two-shot explosive effect, and then we do have Gunsmith in order to keep our gun from breaking so fast. As I said, I would have liked a precise precise stock, just to further increase the durability of the weapon. But yeah, so far we do have Gunsmith and we have Luck of the Draw, which you will see in a second. Agility is maxed out. We do have Action Boy. This is pretty much the only thing we do have in order to increase our AP refresh. Then we do a Through Hiker, just because, yeah, a lot of the healing items that we use when using Ghoulish, talking about Toxic Goo, talking about Glowing Meat Steak, those live in the 8 category, sorry, the food category, and therefore can be reduced by Through Hiker. Obviously, you can just use a Grosser's backpack and avoid this. I do have a high capacity backpack, and because I don't have the plan for the Grosser's backpack on this character, and therefore I used Through Hiker here. But obviously you can fill that out with more adrenaline if you don't need Through Hiker. Then we do have Evasive. Pretty much everything I said about Ironclad is true about Evasive here, so I'm not going to talk a whole lot about it. White Knight, this is just a convenience thing, similar to Gunsmith. You will see that both for armor and weapons, I do both have perks that straight up reduce the amount of durability loss that you gain, as well as giving you a chance to repair them. So this is a really convenient build where you can run for long times without repairing your weapons and armor. In addition to that, we do have Adrenaline at rank 3. This is basically just whatever I had left in Agility, I filled up with Adrenaline. Obviously, higher ranks, like rank 5, would be nice, but yeah, extra damage is extra damage, and rank 3 also helps a lot. Then we go over to Luck, and despite being at 14, as you will see, we don't have anything regarding our criticals, and I didn't really miss it too much. Obviously, here would be a lot of room for improvement when it comes to your damage output. What we do have is Class Freak, Starch Genes. Obviously, we have a lot of mutations, so reducing the downside from it is nice. Keeping our mutations and not getting any new ones is also nice, so that's why Starch Genes is here. Lucky Break and Luck of the Draw, yeah, this is what I just alluded to. These are just convenience perks, so this could easily be used in order to use Critical Savvy and better criticals, and you can easily dish out a whole lot more damage in the long run, at the cost of repairing your stuff a little bit more. So yeah, I just wanted to switch things up a little bit and for once showcase how well you can get away with using vets without investing into criticals. So just keep in mind, if you want to do a little bit more damage, yeah, just do this. Just use Critical Savvy here and better criticals instead of Lucky Break and Luck of the Draw. And lastly, we do have Tormentor. Not the craziest perk. I mean, obviously not comparable to Enforcer when it comes to shotguns, but yeah, with a two-shot weapon, you do have 2 chances in order to apply the effect. 15% chance. This only goes for semi-automatic weapons. I think on automatic weapons it's more like something like 6% or so, but yeah, fighting tougher stuff like Scorch Beast or so, you can definitely make use out of it. With 2 clips you should be able to basically break all the wings or anything, so yeah, that's why Tormentor is here. And it also gives a nice little chance to stagger, both from crippling an enemy or just a stagger chance in and of itself, as far as I remember. No, it's just crippling, so yeah, but if you cripple an enemy, it's staggering. and yeah, that's nice to have, but yet again, you could use it for bloody mess or something else. And that leaves us with legendary effects, which on this occasion are pretty boring. We just have a bunch of stats increased here in order to get more perks to use. And the only noteworthy thing here, and the most important one, is what reds. This basically means we can get away with the playstyle we do without always using red away, which would be a little bit, firstly, narratively not too fitting for an Adam character. And secondly, it would be a little inconvenient because at that point, yeah, well, what's the matter of not using Stimpaks if we just use Red Away instead? You know, it's just switching healing items basically. So yeah, I wanted to have it maxed out, and it really works relatively fine in my opinion. And yeah, that's about it. I hope you enjoyed it, guys, and yeah, let's take a look at our thumbnail here, which is pretty cool, turned out pretty well. And just because we were talking about thematically fitting here a second ago, obviously at this point in the Fallout universe, there isn't a cult of Adam. Like, the children of Adam aren't around for like 100 years or so. So yeah, it's not a lore-friendly build by any means, but you don't have to make this a Children of Adam build in your head. Like, it can just be any other radiation-worshipping guy, and that would be fine. But yeah, anyways, I hope you enjoyed the build, guys, and see you next time. Bye.